don't know which one is first.
According to this, Prelude is the one of wonders. Nothing crosses the hymn wonders, nothing single more.
Okay, what's the second one then?
Well, the hymn one is the one called hymnal. So it's, no,
This one, this is the one that we're doing. So hymn one is, I think, either Benediction or Newton. So which?
124 is, the first one listed here is nothing crosses the scale. Attributes.
Well, he says that he is in the spot. He did say that.
Spirit of life is correct congregation.
We didn't do the hymnal song, Spirit of Life, right?
Well, both of these are because people here.
I didn't want to take the old What is second? He wasn't sure. They could go over there so you could do the desk in. Yeah. Well, you were supposed to. I'm not good.
Yeah.
Well, this congregation we're before is a new congregation break up from another.
Looks like a new base, the second to the last.
Met at the built room we could use on Sunday morning for service, and we meet afterwards and developing planning all kinds of things to combat the things that in fact brought somebody in and he said we found out our stories that you actually did them with the programs that it wasn't
I'm sorry,
we were deciding basically
whether it's a good strip.
Here.
Two choices. The name of it. You might see that. We didn't know this guy.
No, I know.
Turned out he was a surveyor. You're back Spirit Life property. There's a choice between the two. You do it carefully. It's Hayes. It's the same place in the service.
But if you don't feel, I'm sorry to picture you. It's mostly to see your smile.
had, as we used to joke, you know, they could church meeting.
Whether it's still made out of polished brass. Horses of
Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, and I have the great pleasure and honor of serving this wonderful congregation. Our community is striving to be as varied of the blooms of the Sonoran Desert, so whoever you are, whoever you've been, and whoever you are becoming, I invite you to bring your whole self here and now. Today, our requirement to wear masks and worship and concurrent religious education has officially lifted. You are, of course, still welcome to wear masks, and if someone is wanting to wear a mask or wanting more distance, we ask that you honor that. And it still is true that if you are joining us for in-person activities, we ask that you are as vaccinated as you can be against COVID-19. I extend a special welcome to any visitors this morning and invite you to fill out a guest information card. If you're joining us on YouTube, our administrator, Mary Weiss, will post a link to that in the chat right now. And you're here with us in person, we welcome you to join us for social hour, which is out the doors behind you to your left. And there will be an alcove there, which will have clipboards where you can fill out a guest information card to stay in touch with us. And we will have a relatively short social hour right after the service in Goddard Hall, which is just out those doors behind you to your left. Will be coffee, iced tea, lemonade, some leftover breakfast goodies, which were excellent from our newcomer breakfast, and of course, some good company. And today at noon, a half hour after the service ends, is our annual meeting where we exercise our democratic values as a congregation. That will be at noon right here in Holland and on Zoom, if you'd like to join us that way. Our kitchen ministry has offered bag lunches for you to eat something quickly and then come right back and vote. And our last announcement this morning, for those of you who haven't heard through one grapevine or another, I am going on sabbatical. This is my 5th year as right? Our worship chair has heard this before, I assure you. This is an act. And our board president has also heard this before. They've both heard it. My sabbatical this is the end of my 5th year with you all, and I will be going on a sabbatical with my contract warrants. It will start June 1st, and our Director of Religious Education will also be our minister, and also our ministerial intern will also be our sabbatical minister for that period. So Jamili will be your minister from June 1st through the end of August this year. And I'll keep announcing that until I'm on sabbatical and Jamili is in this role. Let's start our service by turning to a neighbor, hopefully one you don't know very well yet, and ask them what brings them deep gladness. What brings you deep gladness? If you're joining us online, I welcome you to put your answers in the chat right now.
Good morning, hello and welcome. Hi. So I wanted to make a quick announcement before we begin today's service. I wanted to tell you that most everything that we are going to sing today has a special meaning in the history of this church that you may or may not know. And so I just want you to sit with that a second. So the first song that will be sung today, the choral prelude, is arranged by Randy Springer, who happens to be sitting over there. Wave if you will. I think of Randy Springer as the composer emeritus for Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. He has composed 4, I think, different oratorios and dozens of other pieces. And the piece we're going to sing is one that a minister in the past, I don't even remember which minister at this point, a minister in the past said, can we have the choir sing this, a cappella? And Randy, and I'm like, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. And Randy was like, I'll do it. And he slung together this arrangement that we're about to sing for you. The words fit really nicely for today because today is the celebration of the 75th anniversary of the church. Another piece, the first hymn today was the key hymn in the induction of Reverend Bethany. Later in the service, we will hear another piece by another composer that stayed with us, Georgianne Weaver, who was a member of the congregation for about 10 years or so, came mostly as a friend of Agnes Paulson, and Agnes Paulson is the minister of music emeritus for this congregation. She's 104 now and kicking and strong as any centenarian out there, but I'm not sure if that's the right word, if I used it right. But anyway, Georgianne Weaver came, the choir will sing this anthem. It is one of 2 pieces that were written literally for the choir of Unitarian Universalist Church, and so we're going to share that with you later in the service. The third hymn, which none of you know and which is lovely and that you'll sort of might react to otherwise, is one composed by Agnes, and I mention that to you because Agnes throughout the 1990s had a children's choir here that at one point numbered 75 kids and adults. It was a very large touring choir in the 90s. And meanwhile, while she had this big choir here, she constantly lobbied for more UU music to be composed and written. Many composers that are still around, like Joyce Poley and others, remember Agnes walking up and saying, when are you going to write something else for children? Eventually that resulted in the only UU choir hymnal for children, which is this one I'm holding here, May the Light Shine. It was prepared by what was then called the Unitarian Universalist Musicians Network. And the first hymn in this little book is the one that we're going to sing, which was composed by Agnes. And she got the first hymn in part. She's got a couple of songs in here, but the first song in part was because it probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her persistently saying, when are we going to do something for children? When are we going to do something for children? And so eventually it came to be. And what am I forgetting? Oh, and then finally, the last song that we are singing today is a family singer's tradition. It is the choral postlude. It's the Happy Birthday song. If you've been here for 20 or 30 years, you may remember that silly song being sung. It is. We are going to sing it to the church as that. And if you have ever sung that song in Family Singers and would like to just pop into the choir, I have extra copies of the music. So you are all invited. Anyone that wants to is invited to sing that song as a postlude when it comes up. I've been talking longer than I intended, but thank you for your attention. Oh, it's us. So here we go. Here we go. Thank you. Are we going to sing? Please. I'll stop talking.
Strong as the earth.
The Unitarian Church of Tucson was founded on May 9th, 1948, 75 years on this Tuesday. We began a scrappy group of Unitarians, not Universalists yet, meeting at the downtown Y and then at Temple Emmanuel, where the current Kol Ami congregation gathers. And then in 1954, we moved here, worshiping and gathering in what is now Goddard Hall. Holland Sanctuary, the space where many of us gathered this morning, was dedicated later in 1971. And in between and after, we were many things to many people. We had a choirs, religious education for children and youth, adult spiritual development classes. We hosted a basketball team, bridge clubs, camping trips, art galleries, and more. We held work days, retreats, workshops, worship, and more. We engaged in justice work for the Pasayaki, for TUSD, for the sanctuary movement, for no more deaths, and more. We had struggles too, financial, relational, communal. We engaged in conflict. We avoided conflict. We repeated old patterns, and we tried to break them too. We survived. We are here, 75 years later. In our history, In our history, we have been a liberal light in the desert, seeking to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert, transforming ourselves, our congregation, and our community all along the way. And now we look forward to the next 5 years and the next 75 too. Who have we been, and who are we becoming, and who do we need to aspire to be? Come, let us worship together.
On the Brink by Leslie Takahashi. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a deeper joy and foresight we share.
The first hymn is the first hymn in the hymnal, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. Please rise as you are willing and able. May nothing May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry about these windows, make the roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This hearth through all the world go chill will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and through these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy and our love and our anger, our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows, each week is strong enough to hold the big rocks, our collective celebration and mournings, and also the smaller stones that will be added to signify our individual joys and sorrows. 75 years, y'all. I hold that great in my heart, and to know that we're singing music made by members of our church that are steeped in the history of our congregation. It's just such joy for us all to be here together. We had some hard years, and here we are. So that's my joy today. We who live in the desert know that water is life-sustaining and scarce. It's a resource. Water is life. Let us remember those who are walking through the desert right now. They don't have access to water. We pour water from this plastic jug, similar to the ones used by those seeking to assure greater access to water in the desert, like our ministry partner, No More Deaths. And if you have a joy or a sorrow today, I invite you to go to menti.com and put in the code that is on the screen, 49377993. And if any of you here in the sanctuary would like to come now and put your thoughts into Menti, Brian Moon is right there. He's got it on his screen ready. And also, if you're in here in person, you are welcome to come to the table and put in a stone in the water to symbolize your own joy and sorrow. The ripples create hope.
From Mentee, we celebrate someone having a great week at their new job. Woo woo! For the joy, for the sense of place this church has held for so long. We're holding someone whose exhaustion is permeating their life right now. Holding sorrow for Jay and his loss to pancreatic cancer on April 27th. Please surround our family with light and love. You got it, Marcia. Happy that our pianist, Hong Yu, is graduating this week, and sad that she will be returning to China soon. I'm grateful for the time we've had with her. Thank you for the music. Yes, thank you, Hong Yu. And sadness that we've already had 200 mass shootings in the 126 days of this year. Ooh. And more sorrow for someone's dad has cancer and they can't afford to visit and will likely never get to see him again. Sending you love and knowing that your connection to your father can permeate the distance. Our words of prayer today are an invitation to call in the ancestors, those ancestors who have helped build this congregation and the ancestors who are helping to build this congregation because they are in you, because they have influenced your life. So I invite you into a spirit of meditation, prayer, contemplation, whatever is your own way of centering and grounding your own body, your own being. The ritual of welcoming and honoring ancestors is an ancient spiritual practice found across cultures and traditions. And thus we begin the ceremony with paying tribute to and expressing gratitude to our ancestors. From our histories, our ancestors call to us, asking whence we come and how and whither. We are grateful for their gifts, their lessons, and their challenges, calling us into accountability and responsibility to fulfill their hopes and aspirations for what they dreamed be ours to do. We call on and invoke our parents, grandparents, aunties, and uncles, our siblings and nibblings from across time and space to be here with us. We call on the early Unitarians and Universalists, lay people and ministers who brought our faith tradition to Arizona and to the Southwest United States. We call on ancestors of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson who built, grew, and dreamed this church and this community into being. We call on those who represent peoples of Tucson, those who strove to build beloved community, representing diverse cultures and traditions, including the indigenous peoples of this area. We call upon our activist ancestors, those who struggled for justice, freedom, and liberation for all people, who challenge us to honor the fullness of each and every human being. We especially lift up those who battled the racism and oppression right here in Tucson, which is still alive today. They ask us to join the ongoing struggle to make this city whole. We call upon and honor the beauty of the earth, this particular part of creation that this congregation ministers in, the Catalinas, the Rincons, the Tucson and Santa Rita Mountains, the Rito and Santa Cruz rivers, and all across the Sonoran Desert. We honor our interconnectedness to nature and to the history of the land itself. And now I invite you to call to your mind your own particular ancestors, family, spiritual mentors and guides, friends. Let each of us bring into this room our own network of people and places. May our ancestors guide us on our way. May they bless the space and time and the work we are about to do. Will everyone please join me in saying, "Ancestors, be with us." Ancestors, be with us.
Would you lend your voices in song to Spirit of Life? Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wing set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our words of offering come from Jessica Lynn. I come on Sunday feeling weary, having worn out the snooze button on my alarm clock. I come on Sunday feeling frightened, having seared my eyes reading the latest news. I come on Sunday feeling burdened, having fretted about my workday worries. But I leave on Sunday. I leave Sunday service feeling refreshed, having been renewed by the spirit of love and the community that exists here. I leave Sunday service feeling whole, feeling lifted up by the words of the righteous challenge. I leave Sunday service feeling energized, ready to continue our fight for peace and justice. This haven, this refuge, this place of worship and wonder exists because we make it so. With our contributions, the gifts of our time, our skills, our food, our love, our laughter, and our money. Please join me in giving so that we may continue to have a place that fortifies and challenges us in these trying and troubled times. If you're joining us on live stream, you can send a check to the office, give online at uuctucson.org/donate, or text 833-361-5796. If you are here in person, the ushers will come around now with the offering baskets to collect your contributions.
Our reading this morning comes from white American Presbyterian author and theologian Frederick Buechner from his book, Wishful Thinking. He writes, "Vocation comes from the Latin vocare, to call, and means the work a person is called to do by God." You could also insert here whatever is your thing beyond yourself. He continues, "There are all different kinds of voices calling you to all different kinds of work. And the problem is to find out what is the voice of God rather than that of society, say, or the superego or self-interest. By and large, a good rule for finding out this is this. The kind of work God usually calls you to is the kind of work that is A, that you need most to do, and B, that the world most needs to have done. If you really get a kick out of your work, you've presumably met requirement A. But if your work is writing TV deodorant commercials, the chances are you've missed requirement B. On the other hand, if your work is being a doctor in a leper colony, you have probably met requirement B. But if most of the time you're bored and depressed by it, the chances are you have not only bypassed A, but probably aren't helping your patients much either. Neither the hair shirt nor the soft berth will do. The place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." I knew I wanted to be a minister when I graduated college, but a few wise mentors recommended that I try another field of work first. They were probably right, but they were all to a person perplexed when the field I chose was law. Immigration law, which makes a little more sense, yeah? I got a job in a business immigration law firm right out of college, processing H-1B visas for Indian nationals with advanced degrees who were working for U.S. tech subcontractors, a very niche thing. I was pretty good at the job. I got promoted 3 times in 6 months, making me the manager of the people who the job I'd hired into. The owner of the firm had a temper, but it was never directed at me, so I sucked it up and protected the people who I could protect. A few months into the job, I started having these really bad headaches on the way to work, and they just got worse throughout the day, and then better on my drive home. I tried a variety of over-the-counter medications. Nothing worked. One day, sitting at my desk, reviewing petitions, drinking water to quell that day's headache, a thought popped into my head. I should apply to seminary. My headache went away. It was kind of a slap in the head, yeah? So I applied to Andover Newton Theological School because they offered a part-time program so I could keep working at that law firm. I got in, I started night classes. A few months later, my boss had amped up his verbal abuse of my colleagues, and having witnessed his abusive pattern of behavior for over a year, I knew I was next. He threw a file folder at a peer, and that was it. I applied to new jobs that night. Some law firms, some churches. Soon after I heard from one of those church jobs, we interviewed. I got the job managing the social action work for a large 1,000-member congregation in the suburbs of Boston. It was a score of a job. I had an excellent supervisor, a superb staff team, and was treated as a colleague from the beginning, even though most of the colleagues were over 20 years my senior. I learned how to serve on a team. I learned how to minister to people. I learned how to set boundaries, suburbs of Boston. And I learned how to love church again. One of my colleagues in that job, the music director, Beth Norton, had a sign in her office with a portion of that quote from Frederick Buechner. The sign said, "The place where God calls you is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." I saw it early on in my work there, and it stuck with me ever since. Unitarian Universalist congregations are life-saving places. Our theology, that you are enough just as you are, that you are welcome just as you are, and that we love you as you are, saves lives. And I am called with deep gladness to meet the deep hunger held in the life-saving message of our theology. What is your deep gladness? And where in the world can that meet a deep hunger? In this 75th year of the life of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson, I return to Buechner's call. Over the many years of this congregation's existence, it has served many hungers in Tucson and in Unitarian Universalism with great gladness. I named some of those ways in our call to worship this morning. But on this precipice of the next 75 years, my question is, what's next? What are our deep gladnesses now, and where can those gladnesses meet the deep hungers of Tucson? Tucson today has a lot of hunger. Right now, the legislative and personal attacks of LGBTQIA and particularly trans people are amping up nationally and locally. And while Tucson has had laws in place to protect people who are gay and lesbian since the 70s and people who are trans since the 90s, the manifestations of homophobia and transphobia we are seeing nationally are here too. Bookman's Drag Story Hour and a Catalina Foothills School District Board meeting were both canceled recently because of threats of violence to the queer and trans youth and children who are planning to be there. These meetings were not canceled because a majority of people opposed them. I'll repeat that with a louder mic. These meetings were not canceled because a majority of people opposed them. Far from it. These meetings were canceled because threats of violence came from a very vocal, very well-organized evangelical fundamentalist church. A church that has been training its people for decades to defend their social politics. Progressives have been less organized over the decades. St. Francis and the Foothills United Methodist has started in the last year a Dare to Care coalition, and there's some other coalitions locally starting to form to support trans and queer youth and people in particular. We know that there are far more folks that love and support trans kids and youth in Tucson than not. Another deep hunger I keep seeing in Tucson is housing. The pandemic further destabilized housing insecurity across the country. Here in Tucson, rents have skyrocketed, sometimes being double, triple what they were pre-pandemic, and evictions are accelerating now that pandemic-era moratoriums have been lifted. More and more people are being forced out of their homes, into their cars, onto the streets. Some of those peoples are members of our congregation. Homelessness is something that we cannot ignore on this campus in this city. What was a dirt road, 22nd Street, in 1954 when we were gifted this land, is now a pedestrian corridor. Our campus, surrounded by acres of brush on one side and an arroyo in the back, is a perfect place for people to seek safety from police and other people, and also relief from the natural elements. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate the inherent worth and dignity of all people, trans and queer, housed and unhoused, and somewhere in between. We say to all of them, of you, you are worthy of love, respect, and dignity. This is our deep gladness, and it is a gladness that the world needs to hear and feel. Even closer to the core of the UU Church of Tucson, even closer to the call of this moment, there are needs for healing here in our community too. Our work with Reverend Dr. Samantha Wilson this year on transforming conflict and learning restorative practices has unveiled decades of trauma and hurt, too much of which was never given adequate space to heal and transform. There is a deep hunger here in these walls, in these people, to tell our history, to make the story of who we are more complex, to make room for understanding rather than being right. We need our gladnesses to meet our hunger here, too. Here is where we learn how to affirm inherent worth and dignity. Here in these walls is where we practice what our principles call us to. I'll end this homily with some words from white American writer and teacher Margaret Wheatley. her poem Turning to One Another. She writes, "There is no power greater than a community discovering what it cares about. Ask what's possible, not what's wrong. Keep asking. Notice what you care about. Assume that many others share your dreams. Be brave enough to start a conversation that matters. Talk to people you know. Talk to people you don't know. Talk to people you never wanted to talk to. Be intrigued by the differences you hear. Expect to be surprised. Treasure curiosity more than certainty. Invite in everybody who cares to work on what's possible. Acknowledge that everyone is an expert about something. Know that creative solutions come from new connections. Remember, you don't fear people whose story you know. Real listening always brings people closer together. Trust that meaningful conversations can change your world. Rely on human goodness. Stay together." Amen. May we move forward together, and blessed be.
One of the things that brings me deep gladness is being able to welcome our new members. So we have a new member welcome this morning. If you are new, I'm going to invite you to the front, and I will say your name, and please forgive me if I say it wrong. Margie and Rick, Mark, I saw you this morning. Diana Barber, Maura Raffensberger, Susan Sproul, George Robinson, Alicia Clark, come on up. Kate Freeman, are you here with us today? No. Robert and Julie Fisher-Rowe are here with us. There's a few people that we know are new that aren't here today. Lily Sandlin and Lori Sussman, apologize. Johnny Carroll and Tom Gregg, Chris Ropsch, Michael Crease. Is there anybody here today that feels like a new member that I haven't said your name? No? Okay. We gather today to welcome our new members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. You have already signed our membership book. You have blessed us with your presence on Sunday mornings and throughout the week. Many of you already volunteer, you sing for us, you help us across the other various lives of our congregation, and most of you have already offered your financial gift to support this congregation. Now is the time we put aside to ceremonially mark this important decision you have made to join our beloved congregation. And what an auspicious day. You are not required to join this congregation or any congregation for that matter. You chose us. Or maybe we chose you. Perhaps we chose each other. However it was this choice happened, we are grateful you have chosen to take this journey of faith with us. Some among us today have chosen to recommit your membership this year. If you have reinstated your membership since, say, March, which isn't that long ago. Do we have anybody? No? Anybody? Not this year. This morning is a time we welcome you into this congregation, this liberal light in the desert, for as we know, the last 75 years. We welcome you to this community, which is always striving to be its best self. We welcome you to this faith, which has high aspirations and lofty expectations of its members. We welcome you among us, and we celebrate you as a part of our growing Unitarian Universalist family. In this moment, when many of you are so excited to welcome us into membership, I think it is also important to name another truth. We will not always feel this way. You will not always feel the excitement, this feeling of anticipation, this feeling of total belonging, if those things are in fact what you're feeling today. We will disappoint you. And none of us will always be our best selves here because we are, in fact, human, after all. So I want you to remember this feeling. Remember what it feels like right now in this moment. Look around or close your eyes. Think about what led you to make this commitment to membership and stitch that feeling onto your heart. So in those times when it is hard, we can remember this moment and the joy that we have in coming together. As Canadian UU Liz James wrote, "You will not fit. If every one of us fit, we would not be called to grow. This religion is not a thing you join. It is a thing you are called to co-create." We are so happy to have you as a part of this grand experiment in Unitarian Universalism. Our faith was left unfinished on purpose. This faith is not finished. We are not finished. Neither ever will be perfect. But together and with your help, we can co-create a better, more loving, more justice-centered world. Together, we can create something larger and better than any of us could create alone.
We at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson welcome you as members of our community this morning. You have come to worship, play, work, and grow with us. Ours is a free faith. We have no creeds, and you are free to bring your ideas and beliefs to this congregation to share with others. I invite you to join with us in this religious search for meaning and purpose in life. informed by our individual beliefs and the traditions of Unitarian Universalism.
This is my favorite part. I swear, I love to do this. So, here we go. You have already signed our membership book. This morning, we celebrate that commitment in worship. In this gathering, we lift up our voices in shared song. We bring ourselves before the holy in silence and in speech. We search together for meaning and truth in life. We share the joys and sorrows of our lives with one another. Joining UUCT means being part of this gathered community, speaking out on the future of our congregation, offering and receiving the gifts of the Spirit, supporting others, and being supported in return. If you will join in this mission and work, say, I will. I will. And that's my part.
Susan? For the flowers. Okay. To help you remember this day, we have a flower for you. We hope that you will grow into membership here at UUCT and bloom just like this flower has. May we be fertile ground for your spiritual, emotional, and physical growth. Will the members of this congregation please rise in body and spirit and respond with the words printed up here on the screen? We receive you with open hands and hearts and joyfulness. We once again renew our commitment to this religious community. We are proud and happy to have you among us. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And now Agnes's hymn, A New Day. Lovely tune. It repeats. You'll catch it by the end of the first verse, I'm certain. But how about the choir sing the first verse and then you join us? And we'll sing the first verse twice. AV team, we're going to hold those.
Can we stand, though?
But may we stand?
Rise in body and spirit.
Let's listen to the choir sing at the first verse. Here we go, choir. Ready? A new day has come again our way, giving life to you and me. A new day has come again our way, chasing away the dark. And now all singing that. A new day has come again our way, giving life to you and me. A new day has come again our way, chasing away the dark of the night. Sun mysterious heralds the new day, bringing light and warmth far away. Sun mysterious greet the new day, opening doors to learn and to grow. Open up your heart today, be a friend to someone in need. Open up your heart today, give of your love and spread good
please join me in our words of chalice distinguishing today by Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern. When we take fire from our chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more. And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all our lives and sharing it with the world.
Look, they gave me a microphone. Crazy people. So, at noon, every single person in this room is going to come back here. So go eat quickly and return. I will see you all in about a half hour.
We have our next meeting next Saturday, and I'll talk about it's typically a small climate figure out. And if it was by Ruby there or Phoenix, and hopefully but she had already been so much. All those kids are going to
I'd like to keep it a little